Welcome back to the Premier League show. Matt Jarvis is our guest this evening. We're going to talk Arsenal now and hear from Martin Odegard, who says the team are focused on winning and ending the club's 6-year trophy drought. Speaking to the Men in Blazers podcast, the Arsenal captain discussed the squad's ambition heading into their final 14 games of the Premier League season and their aim to deliver silverware for the fans.
But until you win a title, you just don't have that experience. It's almost like until you win, you don't know how to win, is what they're saying. How can you break that catch-22, Martin?
Yeah, no, it's true. I think you have to do it, to be able to say that you know how to do it. So that's the true saying, and and that's something we have to embrace. And for me personally, and also for a lot of the players in the team, we've been in this title race now for a lot of years, and I feel like that's given us more experience, and we can use that. Every single season we've grown as a group. I think every individual has grown, more experience, more mature, and of course with the squad we have this year, we feel like we're in really good place. And yeah, we're just going to keep fighting and keep pushing every single day, and then we have fully believe in what we're doing and the squad. I think everyone participate, in different ways, some more vocal than others, but this year also we have a leadership group, with a lot of players in there, so there's a lot of players, and everyone participate in different ways. I think that's the good thing with having a big squad like we have now, there's so many different characters and they all bring their own version to the table, so that's great. And the work we do every single day, I think that's the biggest thing, what I see every single day on the training ground, how much we want it, how much we want to work for it. And yeah, of course, with the squad we have, the players, the depth in the squad and the togetherness, and yeah, just what I see every single day, that's what's giving me the confidence that we're going to do it. It's great to be a part of that.
Arsenal are still in 4 competitions this season. I've got to ask, does it matter to you what trophy you win, or is the Premier League the everything?
I mean, we play to win everything. We want to win every game we play, every tournament we play, every trophy. As I said before, and key is to stay in the moment and not think too much about like the bigger picture or too far ahead. But I think for us, it's just winning every single game. That's our goal. So at the moment, we have to just look for the next game. And it's a good thing we're in all the competitions. That's what we want. And I think that's good to have everything to push for. As I said, stay in the moment and just try to win every single game.
Interesting interview there, Matt, and he talks about how this Arsenal team has matured and it's grown in recent years. When you look at that Arsenal squad from, I don't know, say 2-3 years ago to what you see now, how different is it?
It is very different. I think the hunger and the disappointment from the previous years as well for getting so close is there. The squad is, it's a really, really top squad with players in every position with 2 teams. So you look at it now and you're like, the players that, the window's closed, everything's done, they're up for 4 trophies. Players that haven't necessarily been playing loads of games, they're still fully involved in the squad. They're wanting the team to win. You can have that little thought as a player maybe that I want to play more games, but no, these players are fully into it. They have to be, and they've got a chance to play in all of these different competitions.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, the disappointments of previous years. Is a lot of the improvement because of those disappointments and those near misses they've had?
Well, yes, but obviously they have signed some top quality players in that as well. But it will leave, that's not going to just disappear. The disappointment of the last couple of seasons by getting so close, it's not going to leave you. And I'm sure that if they go on to win it this year, that relief is going to be huge. But they've got some top players, and yes, they're maybe not playing as pretty football as everyone would like, but they know how to win a game of football, and they go out every week and they do that.
I mean, he is the captain, he is the Arsenal skipper, but you look there at Declan Rice and you've got Gabriel and others there, and experience and leadership. He talks about leaders on the pitch, plural. In your experience, how important is it to be able to look around you and see a number of players leading the way, not just one captain?
Huge. And as you mentioned, you look into that squad and they've got leaders all over the pitch. They really do. So if Odegaard's not playing, it's not as if they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? Gabriel, Saliba, Declan Rice just step up, and they do it every week anyway. You've got to have many captains on the pitch. There's just one person that's wearing the armband.
Who were the main leaders in your dressing room in your Premier League career? Can you pick out a couple maybe?
Yeah, well, you had Kevin Nolan. Yeah. Carl Henry was a massive leader at Wolves as well. But there was quite a few in them change rooms that, if there was anything going wrong, that group who didn't need management, the team would sort it out in the change room, and that's where you have good leaders.
Yeah. Listen, last night's win significant because it got them to a cup final. They're one more hurdle closer to clearing for a trophy. What about the weekend just gone on the win at Ellen Road? Because the narrative going into that was all about, have they bottled it? Are they going to choke? The narrative now, after 90 minutes of football, has changed significantly. How big a result and how big a performance was that for you at Leeds?
It was a massive performance, and it showed everyone that no, it was just a blip. That won't happen again. Great performance, great result, scoring goals, clean sheet. You know, what more can you want from a squad? And it's bouncing back, and they've proven everyone, no, we are here to stay. You know, and that's a sign of a really top side.
It seems to have sort of calmed and reassured the fans a little bit, because I think from some of Arteta's messaging to the media, it seemed to be targeted at the supporters, trying to get them to relax a little bit. Inside that changing room, reaching a cup final, beating Leeds in the way they did when everyone was questioning them, how big a difference will that make to the mood and the atmosphere?
Yeah, you've got belief. That's the biggest thing. You're going into every game, like he said, you know, going in wanting to win, but actually you feel like you can win. And as the games are getting ticked off, you know, it's just every game, another tick, you get closer and closer. And I know that brings nerves and everything, but they'll be so concentrated to win this league, especially because of the position they're in now and also previous years. But they'll be eyes on the prize for sure.
To the Emirates, where Arsenal edged a tight game with Chelsea 1-0 to book their place in the Carabao Cup final, leading 3-2 from the first leg. The game was in the balance until Kai Havertz's stoppage-time goal sent Arsenal into their first major trophy. To the Emirates, where Arsenal edged a tight game with Chelsea 1-0 to book their place in the Carabao Cup final, leading 3-2 from the first leg. The game was in the balance until Kai Havertz's stoppage-time goal sent Arsenal into their first major trophy, or final, I should say, looking for a major trophy for the first time in 6 years as they continue to fight on all four fronts. Other semi-final between Manchester City and Newcastle.
We are so happy, I think, overall. Over the last 2 games, I think we deserve to be through. It was a long match. We expected that. We wrapped it up at the end in a beautiful way, with Kai scoring the goal in the manner that he did, and the reaction from the crowd, the starters, the finishers, the staff. It just was magical. So really happy, because it was a really tough match against a great opponent, and we're in Wembley.
Extremely disappointed every time I lose a game of football. Every time we win, I'm happy. Every time we lose, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that we lost the game. There are aspects of our game today that I'm very happy with, but I'm here with the team. You could see how devastated the lads were after the game for what they put in. We believe we could come here and turn it around. And in terms of the control and domination we had in the second half, there were moments in the second half I thought it was there for us. We just didn't take it. So it's not about where it sits in my career. I'm happy we could come here and turn it around. And in terms of the control and domination we had in the second half, there were moments in the second half I thought it was there for us. We just didn't take it. So it's not about where it sits in my career. I'm hurting, but we need to move on from this very quickly, because we have another game in 3 days.
To that in a second. Defeat for Chelsea denies Liam Rosenior an early opportunity to win a trophy in charge of Chelsea. But after the game, he rejected criticism that his team did not make enough of an effort to turn around their first leg deficit at the Emirates. Here's what Paul Merson had to say about Chelsea's approach.
I'm numb. I'm flabbergasted. I can't believe what I just watched. I honestly can't believe what I just watched. I mean, Arsenal fans and Arsenal, the players themselves, this is Chelsea Football Club. You know, they've got international football players. They've got World Cup winner. They've got players all over. This is not a bottom 4, bottom 5 team. They've just come there. I mean, it's crying. I mean, it should be crying because they never had a go. I mean, I'm lost for words. I cannot believe what happened. They've just gone out with an absolute win in the semi-final of a big competition. And if it worked, it was great, but it hasn't worked, and you can't gamble like that. Have a go and go out in a blaze of glory. Don't go out like that.
Oh, so James Green with us, because we're going to have a look at that. Look, Rosenior defending his approach last night. There was, something else that stood out as well about how Chelsea defended when Arsenal tried to utilise one of their most lethal weapons, corners. We'll have just a look at the corners in a second, but I just want to pick you up on that. We had a little chat about it the last hour. Not happy at all, was he? Taking things extremely seriously, even before the game had kicked off.
It's remarkable, but it also shows what kind of character he is in terms of how meticulous his preparation is. He doesn't want anything affecting his preparations. I think that's a side of Liam Rosenior that none of us has seen. Met him multiple times when he was a pundit. Just a really calm, friendly, lovely guy. I didn't realise he had that kind of split edge to him, and it was quite fascinating, wasn't it?
Out there, okay.
It was a good job as well.
Yeah. Look, I did mention there, he defended his approach last night. Something else standing out as well from the evening. We've been looking at some of the stats. How Chelsea defended when Arsenal tried to utilise one of their most lethal weapons, which is, of course, the corner. What was so interesting about how it worked, or how they tried to do it last night?
Well, this is something that actually we have seen this year. We know Arsenal's threats from set pieces, but we've seen Monaco and Crystal Palace also do the same thing, and that was putting players up the field for the corners so that there's less players in the box. But what Chelsea did last night, and we're going to see actually the examples, the two examples, two corners, they did it so late on actually, and it was just as Madueke was about to play. You'll see arms in the air, there's a bit of confusion, there's a player running, it might be Martin maybe running back, there's just confusion all round about who needs to go back to chase the Chelsea players. Now they've got two on the far side and one in. Examples, two corners. They did it so late on actually, and it was just as Madueke was about to play. You'll see arms in the air, there's a bit of confusion, there's a player running, it might be Martin maybe running back, there's just confusion all round about who needs to go back to chase the Chelsea players. Now they've got two on the far side and one in the left. So they've made this quick decision, which has just thrown the corners out of sync a little bit. But we'll watch the delivery, and you can just, you'll be able to see, look, you can see the space and how different it is. So it's a different approach. One pundit who had an opinion on this was Jamie Redknapp last night, and he wasn't necessarily convinced by what he saw from Chelsea.
I like this plan, but I don't like the way the three players that are running up. I think if you put, as an example, Enzo Fernandez up there, my problem with that is you can see the man with his hands up in the air, that's Gabriel. Marking him is Enzo Fernandez, or blocking him, whatever way you want to look. But you've got 10 yards there. You are, whatever way you look at it, you are still marking him, and you've got to try and stop him, who's the best at attacking the ball in world football. It works to a certain extent, because what this does is negate too much traffic, and that's what Arsenal want to create. They want to create chaos with these corners. This delivery comes in. I think you're better off just looking for Gabriel. He doesn't. He plays it into a congested area.
Would you prefer, say, Fernandez to have done what, say, Liam Delap had
done? Hato Fofana and who's the other one that's gone up there?
No, Gusto Delap and Hato.
And so I would probably say to one of them. But they've obviously got a plan trying to do it. But I just feel that if they get the right delivery on Gabriel's head, I think Enzo Fernandez has no chance.
OK, so, Jamie, look, let's get into this. So, Jamie Redknapp not quite convinced. What do the stats tell us about the tactics then?
First of all, stats, as we well know, at times can be misleading, but if we look at the stats last night, the XG from the corners. First of all, we're going to show, actually, these are the stats just show that Arsenal are so strong at set pieces. This is just this season, but we actually go back to the start of last season. Last night, they only had two corners, though. XG from the corners last night, 0.04. Now, that shows they didn't do that great from corners, and Chelsea's tactics potentially worked. But actually, if you see the corners, it could have been very, very different. The first corner, if you watch it, potentially could have been a penalty off the arm of Fofana challenging Nkapie. And Nkapie actually had a clear run at the ball there as well, so there was more space for him to run. The second one, despite it being cleared, it did lead to Arsenal having a chance. And probably the reason why is because when it was cleared, the Chelsea players had to run back. They're out of position. They're not necessarily in a defensive unit, a defensive sync, and that's why Arsenal are able to then create a chance. So they didn't score, which you could highlight and say, OK, it worked. It did lead to potentially two quite close chances.
And actually, look, it's not the first time we've seen Chelsea try this either, is it, as well? Yeah,
this is what's interesting about Chelsea. Obviously, we know there's a manager change. We know Enzo Maresca's not there anymore and Liam Rosenior's in charge. But one person who has remained the same, which you could highlight and say, OK, it worked. It did lead to potentially two quite close chances.
And actually, look, it's not the first time we've seen Chelsea try this either, is it, as well?
Yeah, this is what's interesting about Chelsea. Obviously, we know there's a manager change. We know Enzo Maresca's not there anymore and Liam Rosenior's in charge. But one person who has remained the same is Bernardo Cueva. He is the set-piece coach. He was the set-piece coach under Enzo Maresca. This is back in November in the Premier League. look what happened. Players running up the field. Liam Delap, Pedro Neto. There's another one coming as well. Up the field they go. So the only difference is last night it was very late. Last night, Madueke was stepping back ready to take that corner, and that's when the Chelsea players went forward. But back in November, the set-piece coach tried it again, moving players away from the box, and that allows the goalkeeper to have a clear run, which usually on Arsenal's corners, the goalkeeper is surrounded by players, and he can't really move anywhere, and that creates a lot of confusion. So I expect maybe we might see it being utilised at times to throw Arsenal off, but I think if you do it every single time, Arsenal are quite smart, and they take a lot of time over set pieces. They're quite meticulous, and I think they'll figure out a way of actually using it to their advantage.
Yeah, really good to have a closer look at that. Thank you very much indeed. OK.
It's already been a brilliant season for Arsenal. Now their fans can look forward to a day at Wembley and a chance to end that 6-year wait for a trophy. Jamie O'Hara is here for the next 2 hours. Jamie, how many trophies will they be lifting?
Hopefully none.
But first, Arsenal are through to the first final in 6 seasons after beating Chelsea 1-0 and 4-2 on aggregate in their Carabao Cup semi-final. Mikel Arteta's side will face the winner of Manchester City against Newcastle United in the final. Jamie O'Hara, right, in terms of Chelsea, was that a wasted opportunity for them?
Yeah, well, look, it was an opportunity. They would argue that it wasn't wasted. They were still in the game till the dying moments. You know, I think they'll look back on it and probably think they should have gone for it a bit more. I was disappointed in the way they approached the game. Like, I know that Arsenal was a tough place to go to get a result, but I just felt like they left more out there. I think that they didn't really have a go. It was easy for Arsenal. They were easy. They could sit in. They were happy with 0-0. Chelsea had to try and win the game. And I just felt like he put all his eggs in the basket of let's not concede the first goal. He was scared. He was scared of Arsenal, Liam Rossini and Chelsea. And I was surprised at that. Chelsea are a massive club, got World Cup winners, international players, and they tried to win the game in the first half, in the last half hour.
What about Arsenal's tactics then? Because they're through, so it worked, but they didn't try to kill the game off early.
No.
And they maybe could have when Chelsea was sitting back.
Yeah, look, Arsenal didn't need to.
But it worked.
Yeah, Arsenal won the game at Stamford Bridge. You know, they were brilliant at Stamford Bridge, scored 3 goals. Come to the Emirates and try and get a result. They didn't need to really do anything in the game. They were happy with a 0-0. So for me, it was all about Chelsea. How do you